What if everything you've been told about the medieval knight was a lie? What if an entire order of warrior women, trained in silence, loyal to a cause older than kings, was erased not by time, but by royal decree? Picture this: a secret codex locked in the stone walls of a forgotten priory. Pages whispering of a hidden order, sworn to defend a prophecy, led not by men, but by female knights who vanished without a trace. This is the story they never wanted you to hear. And once you do, you'll never see history the same way again. It is the year 1247. The kingdom of Castile is at war, but not all battles are fought with swords. Some are fought in silence, hidden beneath veils and oaths. In the north of Spain, among the mist-covered hills, stood a convent like no other santuario, de la Rosa de Sangre. Its name vanished from maps, its memory erased from textbooks, but scrolls uncovered during a church excavation in the late 19th century hinted at something impossible: a military order of women, sanctioned by the church, trained in both combat and scripture, and sworn to protect a sacred relic, believed to hold the key to an ancient prophecy, the Rosarium Codex, written in a cipher older than Latin, guarded by a single symbol, a crimson rose encased in a circle of thorns. But who were these women, and why did they vanish? The first clue came not from Spain, but from a Vatican inventory log dated 1683, a single line redacted and marked Confidentialis Ordinum Ignota Confidential. Unknown order. It referenced a reliquary transferred from Toledo to the Vatican's secret archives, with no explanation surrounding it. Was a flurry of papal correspondence, warning of female heresy, cloaked in divine illusion. A century later, a French historian, Pierre, traveling through, found something extraordinary hidden behind a false wall in a crumbling abbey. A leather-bound volume, the Rosarium Codex itself, so partially burned the pages that remained, told the story of an oath-bound circle of female warriors, named La Rosa Obscura, trained from girlhood masters of both blade and scripture, rumored to be descended from Visigothic priestesses who deconverted too early. Christianity merged warrior rites with divine purpose, and then the account stops, abruptly ending with the chilling phrase, "We remain in shadow, for the world would end should we rise again." Why would such a story be erased? Why would kings and popes conspire to bury the truth? The answer may lie in what they protected. The Codex makes repeated references to a relic known as La Cruma Dei, the tear of God, believed to contain the blood of a saint who received visions of a coming war that would burn Europe to ash unless a sacred sisterhood stood in its path. The relic was meant to be worshipped, but hidden because its power threatened not only monarchies, but the very authority of the church. One account tells of Queen Isabella of Castile discovering the relic and issuing an immediate decree to dissolve all unholy orders under God's name. Days later, over 20 women were burned in secret trials. Their names, never recorded, their order struck from royal records and papal annals. The Codex hidden or destroyed until fragments resurfaced centuries later. But how real is this? Could a militarized order of female knights truly have existed? Scholars scoff, claiming the stories are romantic inventions or confused legends. Yet, the symbolism of the crimson rose appears again and again across medieval iconography, often next to Templar engravings or embedded in cathedral mosaics, in places where no female orders were ever documented. An English chronicle from 1311 speaks of ghost women clad in iron and red, bearing swords as bright as flame, disrupting a royal procession in Aquitaine, only to vanish into forest fog. Were these simply myths or coded memories passed through generations for fear of death? Still, the denial continues. The Vatican has never acknowledged the redacted order. British historians dismiss the Rosarium Codex as a forgery, yet those who studied its cipher see deeper patterns, hidden codes pointing to other locations, other texts possibly still buried in monasteries, under lock and papal key. One Vatican whistleblower in 1972. It's claimed to have seen a chamber beneath St. Peter's containing relics, not of saints, but of those cast out by sainthood. His career ended. Days later, his statements buried under accusations of heresy and madness. He died in silence in a monastery exile, but left behind a single note: they bled for the truth, and we drank their silence. So what if it's all true? What if an entire lineage of warrior women existed only to be buried alive in lies, their legacy rewritten by the very men they once protected? What if the idea of the night we were taught was never the full picture? What if the most sacred relic in Europe lies beneath marble and gold, guarded still by vows that echo in silence across centuries? One line in the Codex reads, "When the tear weeps once more, the rose shall awaken." Could this prophecy speak of a reckoning, a time when the truth buried beneath centuries of male-dominated history finally blooms again? Imagine what else might be hidden. If this order could be erased, what stories were never told? What relics still lie in the catacombs and vaults of royal and religious institutions behind restricted access and classified records? Think about it. The redacted PayPal logs, the scorched scrolls, the cathedral mosaics bearing the symbol no one ever explained: a rose and thorns. Why were entire pages torn from monastic chronicles? Why did royal edicts suddenly vanish from Castilian archives in the year 1485? And why did the few remaining letters reference not rebellion, but a sisterhood protecting God's secret plan? They dainty want you to know, because it changes everything. It reveals that power was never just held in the hands of kings or bishops, but in those sworn to protect truth, even when truth became dangerous, even when history became a weapon. And if La Rosa Obscura existed, if they were erased, if their prophecy is real, then history may not be what you were told. So look again at those cathedral walls, those forgotten convents, the symbols hidden in plain sight. Perhaps the rose still waits for her time to bloom again. Perhaps the tear will fall once more, and with it, the awakening of the truth whispered through blood, ink, and fire. Because if history was rewritten once, could it happen again? Subscribe, because truth, no matter how buried, always finds its voice. And remember this: some roses bloom in shadow, and not all knights wore shining armor.